Hello everyone. I would like to make a small update to my previous video about the Dragon Cultist build regarding some more weapon options you can use on this build, and also talk a little bit about the seal passive bonus stacking in dual wielding them. So first I would like to take a look at a couple of weapons. There are some enemies in the game that are very resistant to the fire, although there is not a lot of them, but in case you are fighting with boss or enemies like that, you want to have some backup to the weapons I presented you in the last video, which were the Blasphemous Blade and the Magma Blade. So we're gonna take a look at a couple of them. So first of all, a very good weapon when you fight someone who is resistant to fire is a Halo Sight. So Halo Sight scales with Faith and scales with Strength, which is exactly what we have here on this build, and it deals holy damage, so it's a very good alternative. The good thing about this sight is that it has very strong weapon art. We're gonna equip a Sacred Scorpion Charm to boost our holy attack, and I'm gonna present you how this weapon art is working and how much damage it can do. It's also a range attack, so it's very good against a lot of bosses in the game, especially if you use a summon to distract. So we're gonna buff ourselves with the Sacred Vow, we're gonna buff ourselves with the Flame Current Strength, and we're gonna test it. So, as you can see, the damage is really solid. It has also a lot of stagger. It's very fast, you can spam it, and even if enemies try to dodge it, they are still getting hit by it because it has a very good tracking. And this is a great alternative when you are fighting with the enemies you can't quickly kill with the Magma Blade or with the Blasphemous Blade. Another weapon, just let me reset that guy which we were testing on. Another very good weapon that is an alternative to that is, where do I have it? Here it is, the Tree Spear. So the Tree Spear is a dexterity and faith weapon, but it doesn't need much dexterity. Only 22. It has scaling in faith and a holy damage. So again, a damage we can use when we fight enemies that are resistant to fire. Now what's good about this weapon, it's only one of the 3 weapons in the game that, despite being a special weapon, you can buff it with the faith buffing spell. So I'll equip it, and I'll have to make my dexterity 22 really fast, so we're gonna equip 2. Here we have it. And right now the scaling of this weapon is 817, so a very good scaling for a faith build. 799 when we are one-handing it, and if you take a look at my incantation, we can upgrade it, buff it with Electrical Armamanet. So we can deal now holy, physical and lightning damage on top of that. So let's see how far our AR will now go when we use Electrical Armamanet, Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. And we'll also change the amulet to a lightning it's holy damage, so yeah, no, we leave it at holy attack. Okay, so let's buff it. So Electrical Armament because it lasts the longest, then Golden Vow because it lasts long, and Flame Grant Me Strength which lasts shortest time. And we have 1320 AR. That is a lot of damage. So let's see. 1000, 2000, 3000, 1000. That was a lot of damage. Now we are at 1200 because our strength, flame grant me strength, were out before I finished killing this guy. But as you can see, it's a super powerful weapon to use because you can actually buff it further with the Electrical Armamanet, and we have a high faith build here, so we have 70 faith, so it adds a ton of additional damage, allowing us now to deal physical damage, as you can see, lightning plus 235, and holy on top of that. And which is best about the spear is, of course, it's a spear, so which means we can equip a brass shield after buffing the spear and use the standard tactic of poking from behind the shield with barricade, and our 1300 AR spear can decimate a lot of enemies while keeping us safe. A very, very good option for a faith build. Another one, which is also similar to this one, for its buffability, so to say, is a troll hammer. So a troll hammer is a weapon that is again strength and faith scaling. It has fire damage and physical damage, and the same as the tree spear. You can buff it with faith buffing incantations, and I think you are already seeing what I'm going here, because we can add lightning damage to it, and because it's physical and fire, our flame grant me strength will buff it even more than that. So let's equip this one. So here I don't need all that dexterity buffs, because if I two-hand it, I have 22 strength, but if I two-hand it, because strength when two-handing is times 1.5, I'll be able to wield it. And right now, our AR with this is 785. Now, let's buff it. So, we're gonna equip the fire scorpion, because it's a fire damage. So it's 806 now. So Electrical Armamanet, Golden Vow, Flame grant me strength, and we are at 1400 AR. 1400 damage, 1000, broken, 1000, 1000, 1400, 1200 damage per swing. And you only need 22 strength, which you already have if you want to use Blasphemous Blade, and this thing hits like a truck. It has high lightning damage. Let's see how its stats look when the flame grant me strength is active. It has... oh, it doesn't show it here, but it has high physical, it has high fire, which we buff it further with flame grant me strength, and lightning on top of that. So 1400 AR on a weapon on faith build. That is a very, very big boost. Okay. Another thing which is worth to remember is that you can infuse a lot of weapons with the holy damage, and some weapons scales really well when you infuse them like that. For example, a heavy Knight Rider glaive, when infused with the holy, will have a B in faith scaling. The Banished Knight Sacred Halberd will also have B in faith scaling, which will give us very solid 792. Of course, this one can't be buffed by Electrical Armament, so Earth 3 is definitely better when it comes to having to fight with something else than fire. Halo Sight, of course, as you could see, excellent weapon. And I also want to give shout out to the Giant Red Braid. This is a fire weapon, but we didn't cover it in the last video, so let me just give you a quick demonstration what this thing can do. It doesn't deal very high single target damage, but its AoE range is ridiculous. Look at these swipes. So a huge AoE around you. Very good when fighting versus a lot of trash enemies. Also, well, as you can say, it suits the build, which we focus around a fire and the lightning. And I also got some question about why I didn't include a black flame into my spell selection, and sadly the answer for that is pretty simple, because Blasphemous Blade again. Like, Blasphemous Blade makes every single fire incantation obsolete. The Taker's Flame weapon art is just plainly better than every fire spell you can use. So pretty much I just focused on the lightning spells and the two utility fire spells, so Frenzy Burst and Catch a Fire, because they both cover something that Blasphemous Blade can't, so very long range fire damage and a very high DPS in close range. Alright, so now that I showed you a couple more weapons that you can use in this build to the great success, I want to tell you a little bit about stacking passive effects from the seals. So here we have the Gravel Stone Seal, which, as we know, has a passive boost of 15% more damage for the Dragon Cult incantations, which are the Lightning Spear, for example, for 40 Lightning Spear, or Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike. Now, if you equip in your second hand a Gravel Stone Seal without any upgrades, you will receive another 15% buff to your lightning spells if you have them both equipped when you cast a spell. You cast the spell with this one, but you handle this one in your hand, and you will see that we will deal more damage this way. So I'll show you. So Lightning Spear, we're gonna equip, we have lightning attack. We're gonna buff ourselves with the Golden Vow, and we're gonna use Lightning Spear. Okay, I forgot to reset that guy because I want to get an accurate number each time we attack with the Lightning Spear. So okay, once more. 1600 damage, right? Okay. So we're gonna reset him again. We're gonna buff ourselves again with the Golden Vow. And then we're gonna equip a second charm. $1,900. 1,200 without fully charged one. 1,000. So as you could see, we went from 1,600 to 1,900 just by having the second same seal equipped in our offhand. And the same applies to all of the seals you can use. So, and you can combine them. So for example, if you remember in last video I told you that Frenzy Flame Seal is not worth upgrading for the Frenzy Flames because it has very low incantation scaling unless you have high stats in all 4 of the attribute scaling shown here. So you are betting with using, for example, the Earth 3 Seal with higher incantation scaling, because then your Frenzy Burst will deal more damage. And yes, but if we have in our offhand a Frenzied Flame Seal, this will give a 20% passive buff to the damage of the frenzied spells we cast from Earth 3 Seal. Again, I'll show you just so you can, believe me. So we equip our Fire Scorpion Charm to boost our fire damage. Now we won't need this one. We reset that guy. And we're gonna use Golden Vow. Frame grant me strength. And we're gonna cast a Frenzied Burst. $1,900 damage. Now we're gonna do the same, but we're gonna equip a Frenzy Flame Seal in our offhand, but we will still cast with our Earth Tree Seal, which has higher scaling, because we only need a passive buff from the Frenzied Seal. Okay, so Golden Vow. Flame grants me strength, because we do fire damage. And take a look at the damage now. 2,300. So 2,300 damage compared to 1,900 damage with just Earth Tree Seal. So we got 400 damage increase just by having this seal in our offhand when we cast Frenzied Burst. This is all huge damage differences. We got almost 300 damage on our Lightning Spear when using dual Gravel Seals, and we got 400 more damage when using in our offhand a Frenzied Flame Sacred Spear, Sacred Seal. So, and it also works with the giant seals, but again, even with double giants, I already tested that, even with double giant seals, the Flame Take V spell will still deal less damage than the Blasphemous Blade Taker's Flames. So still, even with double giant seals, it's still not worth to cast any flame incantation compared to the Blasphemous Blade, apart from the Catch Flame and Frenzied Burst, which utility power covers the damage difference between Blasphemous Blade and them, and make them worth to have equipped. Alright, and if you are Arcane Faith build, the same thing will work with dual Dragon Communion Seal. You will actually get 15% and 15% from the second Dragon Communion Seal to your Dragon Communion spells. And it's worth to note also, for those of you who may not know, that the Placiduxax Ruin, Jesus, who came up with this name? This spell is not Dragon Communion spell, despite being, you know, a dragon spell because you summon a dragon head, like in all the dragon spells. This is actually a Dragon Cult spell. So this spell will be boosted by the dual Gravel Seals, not by Dragon Communion Seal. So if you had any doubts about the spell, you use it when you have Lightning build and Lightning and Dragon Cold Stone Seals, and it can actually deal a pretty darn good damage. The problem is it's just not worth the mana cost, but certainly, well, I can't say that this spell is not cool to cast, because I'll be lying. Oh, well, I don't need Flame Grant me strength, but whatever. So yeah, and like all dragon spells, it has problem with very high cost and very, very long casting time. See? Yeah. And That is one of the reasons why I don't like dragon spells, because as you could see, I couldn't cast it. I got too close, perhaps, but still the spell that is, you know, an endgame spell takes 3 slots, 80 mana, should not be that hard to cast, and on top of that, don't doing that much of a damage. See? It's just, I can't cast it. Yeah. We're gonna just reset him. Yeah, it can deal quite a lot of damage, but as you could see in our 2 tries, I don't want to show you, like, you know, a perfect cutty cut from my run when the spell 100% works, because as you could see, just trying to do real scenario is just too hard to cast many times, and it's the problem with all the dragon spells. The casting time is too long, the cost is very high, and on top of that you don't get a hyper armor when you do, which is something that a lot of Faith Incantation needs, and Blasphemous Blade actually gets a hyper armor when you cast it. And you can just cast also 3-4 times Lightning Spear in the time it would take me to, you know, get full damage from Placidux's Ruin and achieve the same damage, but much safer. So yeah, that is also the reason why I didn't include that spell in the spells that I see as worth. But it's definitely worth to use the Electrical Armamanet if you have those 2 weapons I mentioned that scales with Fate and also can be buffed. And for the enemies that fight with magic, like for Ranala, Barrier of Gold is golden, but you don't have to run with it all the time, it's just when you know you'll fight with the boss with magic damage. And Black Flame Protection is very good against the bosses with high physical damage. As far as the Black Blade, because I know some people mention the Black Blade as a very good spell against the bosses, it's not a bad spell, but the problem is that we have a weapon that's called a Black Knife, and the Black Knife weapon art does the same thing but better than Black Blade, so again, not worth your Incantation slot for this. It also scales with Fate, it's a Fate weapon, so you can just use this one. And yeah, I guess this is all I wanted to talk about. It's an update to the, you know, our pure Faith Dragon Cultist build. Use those weapons I mentioned when you Blasphemous Blade or Magma Blade may not be as effective, or just for fun, you know. The Faith has maybe not the strongest options in the game, but it has for sure the most amount of options to just have fun when playing with a lot of weapons. And also remember about the dual seals passive buff scaling. You know, they weight nothing, so you can always have them and use them all the time to further buff your incantations to really solid levels. I mean, 1900 damage on these guys from a lightning spear is a very, very solid damage, and 2000, I think was 2300 damage from the frenzied burst, which with its super long range and instant casting, so they can't be avoided. Excellent choices. And so yeah, Troll Hammer, Tree Spear, Halo Sight, include them in your weapon rotation for your Faith build. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and see you on the next video.